Becoming the strongest version of yourself means training your body as hard as your mind. Musashi proved this by becoming both Japan's deadliest warrior and greatest philosopher. This man won 60 duels without a single defeat while writing poetry between battles, showing that true power comes from refusing to separate physical and mental strength. Today, you'll discover why you've been operating at half capacity your entire life and how to reunite what society deliberately separated. You will learn 5 lessons from the samurai path, each revealing what society hid from you, starting with the programming that's been holding you back. The programming that holds you back. Every movie you watched growing up had the same character, the big dumb jock and the weak smart nerd. This wasn't entertainment, it was programming. Think about it. Every cartoon, every show, every story hammered the same message into your brain. Muscles mean stupidity. Intelligence means physical weakness. You can be strong or smart, never both. But here's the thing, society needed this lie to work. They needed you smart enough to produce value, but weak enough to never challenge anything. Smart enough to solve their problems, but not strong enough to create your own path. So they sold you this myth that time in the gym somehow steals from your mind, that every hour building your body is an hour lost from building your intellect. And you bought it. We all did. But look at history for 5 seconds and this lie falls apart. The samurai were required to master calligraphy with the same hands that mastered swords. Their poetry had to be as sharp as their blade work. One without the other meant dishonor. The Greek philosophers you quote, Plato was a wrestler. His real name was Aristocles, but they called him Plato, meaning broad because of his powerful build. Socrates was a soldier who fought in 3 military campaigns. Leonardo da Vinci, the greatest genius who ever lived, could bend horseshoes with his bare hands. He was known for his physical strength as much as his inventions. This separation between brain and brawn, it's maybe 100 years old. For thousands of years before that, being incomplete was considered a defect. Take someone like Broly, brilliant guy, the person everyone came to for solutions. Top of his field, respected for his mind, living proof that focusing on intellect pays off. Except he avoided anything physical like it was beneath him. Gym was for meatheads, sports were for people who couldn't think their way through life. He'd actually say things like, "I don't need to be strong, I have a strong mind." He genuinely believed he was maximizing his potential, that by going all in on intellect, he was playing the game at the highest level. Every book he read, every hour studying, every mental model he mastered, this was the path to power. What he didn't realize was that he'd been tricked into fighting life with one hand tied behind his back. He thought he was at 100% capacity. In reality, he was operating at maybe 40%. And the missing 60% wasn't just physical strength. It was mental power locked behind a weak body. The hidden cost. Because here's what nobody told you about living in a weak body. When your body is weak, your mind operates through a fog. This isn't philosophy, it's biology. A weak body means low testosterone, high cortisol flooding your system, poor blood flow to your brain. Your brain is literally getting less oxygen. You think you're protecting your intelligence by avoiding the gym, you're strangling it. You know that feeling. You're at your desk, just had lunch, coffee's fresh, everything should be perfect for deep work. But you can't sit still, can't focus. Your mind is racing but producing nothing. You think you need more caffeine, better productivity hacks, another app to manage your time. Wrong. That restlessness, that's your body screaming for movement. It's trying to tell you something critical. Your brain needs what only physical exertion provides. When you work out hard, really push yourself, your body floods your brain with serotonin, dopamine, and endorphins, the exact chemicals that create focus, clarity, and calm. This is what Musashi understood 400 years ago. He wrote in the Book of 5 Rings, "The way is in training." Not the way is in thinking, not the way is in planning, the way is in training. Look at how he actually lived. He didn't just practice sword techniques in a dojo. He lived in caves, trained in mountains, pushed his body to exhaustion daily. Not because he was obsessed with fitness, because he knew a weak body couldn't execute what the mind conceived. Now look at Broly's reality. Anxiety eating him alive before every meeting, heart racing, palms sweating, that familiar tightness in his chest. He had brilliant ideas, revolutionary strategies that could transform his company. But when it came time to present them, his voice would crack, his hands would shake, his body would literally betray his mind. The worst part? He lost a major promotion to someone with half his intelligence but twice his presence. This guy's ideas were basic, but he delivered them with a steady voice, strong posture, unshakable confidence. His body could cash the checks his mouth was writing. This is the cascade effect nobody talks about. Physical weakness creates overthinking, because when your body can't act, your mind just spins. It creates paralysis, because deep down, you know your body can't handle the consequences of bold decisions. It creates a graveyard of brilliant ideas that die before execution. You become all theory, no practice, all strategy, no action, all potential, no power. One night after another failed presentation, Broly's friend handed him the Book of 5 Rings. Didn't say much, just wrote one note inside the cover. You're trying to win battles with half an army. That hit different because it was true. He'd been going to war every day with just his mind while his body was AWOL. No wonder he kept losing. The way of training. That's when Broly discovered how Musashi actually lived. Musashi didn't just practice sword techniques in comfortable dojos. He trained his body to exhaustion every single day. He fought with 2 swords when everyone else used 1. Twice the weight, twice the endurance, twice the pain. Everyone called him crazy, but there was method to this madness. Look at how this man actually lived. He spent years living in caves, climbing mountains in winter, standing under freezing waterfalls, training until his muscles failed, then training more. This wasn't about building an impressive physique. This wasn't vanity. Musashi understood something fundamental. Physical training is mental training. They're not 2 different things. They're the same process happening in different dimensions. So Broly decided to test this. Day 1 was humiliating. Couldn't do 10 push-ups. His arms shook at 5. By 8, his form collapsed. This was the brilliant strategist everyone came to for advice, defeated by gravity and his own body weight. But something strange happened after that first workout. His mind felt different, not tired, clear. Clearer than after hours of reading, like someone had wiped fog off a window. The physical exhaustion hadn't drained his mental energy. It had somehow created it. By month 3, something shifted. Work problems that used to take hours to solve started clicking in minutes. Not because the problems got simpler, his mind got sharper. The weight room was teaching him something books never could: how to handle pressure without breaking. Think about it. When you're under a loaded barbell, you can't negotiate with gravity. You can't overthink your way out. You either lift it or you don't. This brutal honesty rewires your brain. Month 8 was when everything changed. His body was finally strong enough to support his mind's ambitions. Deadlifts weren't just building his back, they were teaching him to carry heavy loads without buckling. Squats weren't just building legs, they were showing him how to rise under crushing pressure. Every physical challenge was a mental lesson in disguise. The discipline to show up when you don't feel like it. The courage to add more weight when last week's load almost broke you. The humility of failing a rep and coming back the next day. These weren't just building muscle, they were building character. This is the pattern Musashi discovered. Train the body hard enough and the mind has no choice but to evolve. It must become stronger to manage what you're putting it through. But train only the mind? It stays trapped in a weak vessel, writing checks the body can't cash. Broly was literally becoming a different person. Not just stronger, more capable. His thoughts had weight now. His ideas had force. His presence was beginning to change. The transformation. But after months of this transformation, something unexpected happened that even Musashi had written about. When your body survives hell, your mind knows it can handle anything. But there's something deeper happening that nobody talks about. When your body struggles under that bar, when your muscles scream and your lungs burn, you're not just doing physical work. You're in direct combat with the voice in your head. You know the one. It whispers constantly, "Just quit. Go home. You've done enough. Why are you putting yourself through this? Stop now." Every single rep is a battle against this voice. And here's the thing, when you defeat that voice in the gym, when you push through, when everything in you wants to quit, you're training yourself to defeat it everywhere. Because that same voice shows up in every difficult scenario. When you need to have that hard conversation, when you need to take that risk, when you need to stand your ground. The weight room is just practice for life. By month 10, Broly had become completely unrecognizable. Not aggressive, that's weakness disguised as strength. He'd become unshakable. Same intelligence he always had, but now it had backbone. His ideas didn't change, but now when he spoke, his voice carried actual weight. When he walked into rooms, the energy shifted. People couldn't explain it. They'd say things like, "Something's different about you," but couldn't pinpoint what. Here's what changed. The harder his body worked, the clearer his thinking became. Physical exhaustion wasn't draining his mental energy, it was purifying it. All the noise, the doubt, the overthinking, it got burned away in the fire of physical effort. This is what warrior monks knew centuries ago. Why do you think they carried massive rocks up mountains? Why did they stand under freezing waterfalls until their bodies nearly shut down? They weren't trying to get jacked. They were using physical suffering as a doorway to mental transcendence. Look at Musashi's most famous duel. Before fighting Sasaki Kojiro, Japan's most feared swordsman, Musashi showed up late. On the boat ride over, he carved a wooden sword from an oar. This wasn't disrespect. His body had become so powerful, he could wield this crude, heavy piece of wood like a precision weapon. He won that duel in seconds, not because the wooden sword was superior, but because his physical power made everything else possible. His opponent had better technique, better weapons, better reputation, but Musashi had something more important: complete integration. This is the truth they don't want you to understand. Your body and mind aren't two things you need to balance. Your body is your mind's physical expression. Your mind is your body's operating system. They're not partners, they're one system. When you train your body, you're literally rewiring your brain. When you push through physical limits, you're expanding mental boundaries. When you conquer physical fear, mental courage becomes automatic. Broly was living proof. Same IQ, same knowledge, same experience, but now it all had a vehicle powerful enough to deliver it. The complete man. After a full year, Broly discovered what you become when the separation ends. Musashi died undefeated at 61. In his final years, he painted masterpieces, created art that hangs in museums. These were the same hands that won 60 duels, the same mind that revolutionized combat. No separation between warrior and artist, between destroyer and creator, between body and mind. He had become complete. Musashi wrote, "In all things, have no preferences." People misunderstand this as being indifferent. Wrong. Don't choose between mind or body. Take both. Don't accept false choices. Don't let them make you pick a side. You were never meant to choose. The division between physical and mental was invented to keep you manageable. Every civilization before ours knew this. Warriors were poets, philosophers were athletes, kings were fighters. Musashi proved through his life, not through philosophy, not through theory, but through actual achievement, that you don't just need both, you are both. How many brilliant ideas have died because your body couldn't execute them? How many opportunities have you watched pass by because you didn't have the physical presence to seize them? How much of your potential is locked behind a body that can't carry the weight of your ambitions? You're living at 40% capacity, maybe less. And the saddest part? You think this is normal. You've accepted that anxiety is just part of life, that overthinking is just how your brain works, that feeling weak and tired is just getting older. It's not normal. It's programmed. The choice is simple, but not easy. Start training tomorrow morning or stay broken in half for the rest of your life. Musashi showed the way through his life. 60 victories, timeless philosophy, art that survived centuries. The blueprint exists. The only question is whether you'll remain society's experiment or become your own. Your mind is brilliant but trapped. Your body is capable but dormant. Unite them and you become something this world desperately needs but desperately fears: complete. May God bless you.